There are just 2 months remaining here in Season 1 of our realistic Crystal Palace career mode featuring ChatGPT, which means it's that time of the year where we not only look back over the season and assess our performance, but also look ahead and start putting some preparation in place for Season 2. That means I need a couple of things from you guys. Firstly, we will be conducting our end of season awards ceremony in the next episode, so get your suggestions down in the comments below. Firstly, for a fans player of the season, who do you think has been our best player overall this year? And then also for a young player of the season, which of our youngsters do you think has outperformed their expectations? And secondly, drop any names in the comments below as well of players who you think should be on our transfer shortlist ahead of the summer. Our transfer policy this season is going to be heavily dictated by Eberechi Eze and Mark Gahey. We may end up having to sell both of them, but if we are able to keep hold of either Eze or Gahey, I'm still undecided about which one we should keep. I posed this problem to you guys in the last episode, and although opinions were certainly split, you did seem to be leaning towards Eberechi Eze. I've just posed the same problem to Dougie Friedman, and he seems to be leaning the same way. He says that Gahey's younger, he's the captain, he's a consistent presence in the defence, which is a key area where stability matters long term, and he does ultimately see that Gahey might provide more security for the club's ambitions in the long run. I think this approach could make some sense, especially since we could use the money from the sale of Eze to make Trevor Chalobah's loan deal permanent and maintain some real consistency across our back five heading into Season 2. However, it's far from a guarantee that we're actually going to have a decision to make. We did stipulate at the beginning of the season, of course, that if we finish 13th or below, we'll be forced to sell both Eze and Gahey. So first priority is making sure that we hold on to 12th position, or potentially even grab a couple of places from Chelsea, from West Ham, from Fulham. So we will try our best to do that in today's episode as we take on 5 opponents. And I've decided I'm going to be brave today. We are going to be taking on Manchester City at the Etihad in our featured game of the episode. I'll also be taking on Arsenal at the very end of the month. I will show you highlights of that game, as well as our opening fixture of the episode as we travel to St Mary's to take on Southampton. Home games against Brighton and against Bournemouth will be quick simmed. So with the season drawing to a close, opportunities for points growing thinner every week, it's really important that we get off to a good start in the episode against Southampton. So it's going to be our strongest 11. That includes Jean-Philippe Mateta up front. He's flanked by Eze and Koleosho, Kamada and Wharton in midfield, and then that strongest back 5, including Tyrick Mitchell, maintaining his place at left back ahead of Roscoe Torres. Unfortunately, we certainly did not get off to a good start in this one. Southampton were all over us and were ahead within 5 minutes. But fortunately, when an Adam Wharton shot cannoned off the crossbar, the ball fell kindly for Daichi Kamada, who levelled the scoring half an hour in. But in a frantic first half, we would only be level for 3 minutes. Southampton once again finding some space inside the penalty area and taking the lead. But this was a truly back and forth game, and Eberechi Eze, spotting the run of Jean-Philippe Mateta, found him straight from the kickoff, and we had an equaliser seconds later. Things really settled down in the second half before Jean-Philippe Mateta found himself through on goal once more. This time he couldn't find the target and put his shot wide of Aaron Ramsdale's post. But we did manage to get a grip on the game in the second half, and that allowed this Daniel Munoz wonder strike to give us a 3-2 lead. And that is how it would finish. Another frantic game, pretty similar to the Newcastle game from the last episode. A back and forth first half, goals galore. We really settled down in the second though, took control of the game from Southampton, who started the game blisteringly quick and managed to grab the victory. It's going to be an all-important 3 points as we continue to solidify our place within the top 12. Those 3 points could prove to be even more important than usual because we do have a tough run of fixtures in today's episode. I'm not sure how many more we are going to be able to pick up, especially as we take on Brighton as our next opponents. They had a really hot start to the season. They've dropped off a little since. Still in 6th position though, and we do manage to take a point from them. Kind of the reverse of the previous game. A very quiet first half. João Pedro puts Brighton ahead just after the break before Ismaila Sarr rescues a point for us at Selhurst Park. And of course, things aren't going to get any easier as we face Manchester City in our featured game of the episode. I'll be honest, I'm pretty terrified about this one. I've got a feeling we're going to get absolutely battered. Could even be worse than the 7-0 drubbing that Man United gave us earlier in the season. But without further ado, let's head over to the Etihad. Try and scrape a point. So we are up in the commentary box at the Etihad in search of an all-important point. A point would really go a long way at this stage of the season. We are hot on the tail of Chelsea. Everton are there or thereabouts as well, as are Fulham, Wolves. It's a very condensed pack around mid-table. We are looking to just ensure that we maintain 12th or above. And that's a really good block from Trevor Chalobah to prevent, I think, Phil Foden from opening the scoring immediately for Manchester City. Southampton 2 in the first game of the episode got off to a very, very quick start. But we did manage to work our way back into the game, and it's Trevor Chalobah again, this time clearing off the line. Usually I prefer a smaller player on the line, like a Tyrick Mitchell or an Eddie Nketiah, who does now come away with the ball. But I think if we were to have a shorter player on the line there, we could be 1-0 down. And I think it was Trevor Chalobah's height that actually kept the ball out of the back of the net there. Eze finds Nketiah. I'm clearly looking for Davidson there. But Ismail Assar calls him off and drives towards Manchester City penalty area. Into the penalty area, strikes against Edison. And Daniel Munoz will continue the attack, looking for Eze at the back post, who I think probably would have been offside. And Manchester City clear. I was caught in two minds about, well, caught in three minds about who to go with up front today. Figured it might be useful to go with one of the target men. Either Mateta, who is the striker who is in the best goal-scoring form for us at the moment. Failing that, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who, of course, is a bit more of a target in the air than Eddie Nketiah, to say the least. But I did go with Nketiah. I thought the runs in behind would be most beneficial today rather than the aerial threat. Davidson, Wharton cracked the crossbar against Southampton. Can't find the target here against Manchester City. Promising signs, though, as Joselu starts up front for Manchester City and finds Phil Foden. It is a strong City 11. Gundogan back in the side, of course. Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, all feature. Phil Foden we have seen already. Oh, and that's so well worked, and it's 1-0 Manchester City. There's not too many complaints we can have about that, to be fair, as Joselu opens the scoring. We look like opening the scoring ourselves a couple of times in those opening 10 minutes, but it's just beautiful one-touch passing play. Henderson comes out to try and smother, but De Bruyne, a touch from Foden into Joselu, and this is what I was worried about. I'm just hoping it doesn't devolve into a 7-0 drubbing like it did against Manchester United. I don't think it will, though. Especially based on the way that we have started the game. And I'm actually relatively hopeful that we can still come away from this game with a point. It is going to take a pretty monumental effort at this stage. But I think we've looked pretty dangerous going forward already in the game. So if we could just prevent Manchester City from scoring again, and that's a tall task in itself. But if we can manage that, I'm pretty hopeful we can grab at least one goal today, either on a counter-attack from a set-piece, something. Tyrick Mitchell facing down Phil Foden, who finds Kevin De Bruyne. Adam Wharton with a fantastic challenge, though. And Tyrick Mitchell finds him once more. Ismail Assar wants the ball on the far side, and it's a pinpoint pass from Adam Wharton to pick him out. Fortunately, Gvardiol is pretty pacey as far as centre-backs, left-backs go. That's a poor header. William Davidson getting a rare start in midfield today. We do have some good depth in centre midfield. It's been kind of tough for Davidson to nail down a starting role or even a frequent role off the bench. As Munoz looks for Eze. Of course, he's beaten in the air. It does fall to Nketiah, who can't quite get the shot away. However, going into Season 2, I think... Oh, no. I've stepped up with Gay and I've allowed Grealish in behind. Thankfully, Grealish isn't the paciest of Man City players. And thankfully, it is Grealish and not Doku. He found the ball at his feet there. And it's a good block by Mark Gay. He goes out for a Manchester City corner as they press for a second goal in the game. Trevor Chalobah once more on the post. I was tempted to take him off the post there, but thought better of it, considering the defensive intervention he made in that exact position earlier in the game. Get back up, Henderson. And we do manage to clear. Moment of madness. Heart was in my throat for a second there as Henderson dived to make the initial save. Rebound fell to Man City, and the goal for a moment looked as though it might be there for the taking. And it's a good intervention from William Davidson up towards Eddie Nketiah, who does actually win the header. It is looking as though we would have been better to go with the target man today. Ismail Assar trying to force his way through. Beat one and won the free kick. We will take it. Lacroix finds Munoz. Ismail Assar with another good run in behind, and again he is onside. At least I thought he was onside. The linesman disagrees. We'll have to see that again. I thought he'd step back up. Just didn't step quite far enough up. But as I was saying, centre midfield is going to thin out a little heading into Season 2. So there will be more opportunities, not only for William Davidson, but of course our new signing, Joe Bellingham. And potentially a youth academy product or two. Mohamed looks like a well-rounded youth prospect. He's probably not going to make the first team just yet. If we do promote him to the first team in the near future, he's likely to go out on loan. But opportunities will be there in the future. I think Czech Decore is likely to be on his way this summer. He's been just so underwhelming. He's been really poor this year. Will Hughes' contract, I believe, is set to expire as well. As we see the goal again from Joselu. So there will be additional opportunities for the likes of Davidson, Bellingham, and any potential future Crystal Palace centre midfielders as we head into Season 2 and beyond. Manchester City piling on the pressure now as Kevin De Bruyne prepares to take another corner. Phil Foden there for the short one. And he does collect. Adam Wharton allows him into the box. De Bruyne nods it down. John Stones finds Foden. And Grealish finds Joselu, and it's perfectly cut out by Munoz. And Eberechi Eze's been absolutely wiped out on the halfway line there, and I'm not sure how that isn't a free kick. As he goes up for the header, the Manchester City defender just doesn't. Completely wipes Eze out in the process. Oh, and that's a loose pass. We do manage to retain possession, though. Through Munoz, Wharton, and Davidson. And the pass is a poor one. Sold Davidson short. And he lunged in to try and win the ball. Poke it on to Ismail Assar. Ends up. How good does Gundogan look? Oh, my God. Look at the hair. Looks incredible. It's a poor challenge from Davidson, though. Worthy of a yellow card for sure. And Ismail Assar takes a tumble now as well. So we are playing with a new title update in this game, but not yet new sliders. I haven't really had time to test the gameplay with the new title update and thus make slider changes. So we are still on version 2 of the sliders, but with title update 3. That's a poor pass. And to be fair, it still feels decent. I'm sure there will be tweaks and some slight adjustments to make. I don't think they're going to be significant, though. Just on my initial impression, I think the gameplay still feels pretty balanced, pretty realistic, and certainly enjoyable. So definitely stay posted. Definitely keep an eye out on the channel for slider updates, because they will be coming. But I think they're unlikely to be significant at this stage. De Bruyne finds Hosselu. Good challenge from Davidson on that occasion. He's made a couple of poor challenges on the last couple of occasions. And Ismail Assar in behind again. He's been the real main threat for Manchester City. And again, it's hit straight at Edison, but there's no real run from Eddie Nketiah or Eberechi Eze. I'd like one of them just to run across the near post, the other to kind of peel away towards the penalty spot. Neither really did either of those things. But I think we've talked a lot in recent episodes and again today about our transfer policy heading into Season 2. It does look as though the consensus, both in the comments and in Dougie Freedman's office, is leaning towards selling Eze and keeping Gahey. Good save, Dean Henderson. If we do manage to finish 12th or above. So I think if that is the case, and Eze is on his way, that's a really good run from Lacroix, who almost finds Nketiah. If he could have just won the header there and knocked it inside to Nketiah, that could have presented a real problem for Manchester City. I think if we do end up selling Eze, I think Ismail Assar is likely to be a starter in Season 2. I think it's going to be Koleosho and Sarr, and we go kind of with a pure direct counter-attack approach with two pacey direct wingers on either side, rather than having Koleosho or Ismail Assar on the right, and then Eberechi Eze kind of drifting in off the left. Really good save and well held by Dean Henderson. We'll try and find Eberechi Eze, who's come short there. And it's going to be a Manchester City free kick. For what reason, I have no idea. Absolutely no clue. Henderson's got a claim. He does. Ismail Assar. 2 minutes of added time. Eddie Nketiah with a good run in behind. Sarr tries to drop it in behind Gvardiol. But again, he's just so pacey, so strong. Really good athlete is Gvardiol. That's what's allowed him to make the transition from centre-back, where he really started his career, where he played for Atletico and I believe Croatia as well, but played far more at left-back for Manchester City, and he can do that because of his athleticism. But it is just the Hosselu goal that separates the sides at half-time. It's been a decent first half. We certainly haven't been completely outplayed or dominated, as was my fear. And again, if we can grab a goal from a quick counter-attack or a set-piece, I'm still hopeful we can come away with a point from this game. So, back out for the second half here at the Etihad. No changes yet for either side. but I think we're likely to see a change or two from Oliver Glasner before too long. Can Eze beat Kyle Walker there? Not quite. I mean, it's a foot race that Kyle Walker is always going to win, but Eze did have the advantageous position there, I would say, and managed to use his body to fend off Kyle Walker. But that did mean the ball then ran out of play. Phil Foden finds Kevin De Bruyne. I think William Davidson is a player we're going to have to look to take off in this second half. He is carrying that yellow card. And that's a really good challenge, Adam Wharton. Eberechi Eze just in an offside position, so Wharton has to carry the ball forward himself. Is fouled by Kevin De Bruyne. And this surely is going to be a yellow card for the Belgian. Could even be red. And it is a straight red card for Kevin De Bruyne. Lunges in from behind as Adam Wharton breaks clear. And he is completely off his feet there. That is a two-footed challenge from behind. I am surprised to see the straight red for that challenge. And I think it's probably a controversial one. I'm not sure how much complaint Kevin De Bruyne can really have, though. Gundogan breaks away. We do, of course, know, though, that if anything, that's probably going to give Manchester City even more of an advantage, because if you've watched the channel for really any duration of time, you will know how much we struggle against 10 men. So, wouldn't be surprised to see Manchester City grab a second goal. Oh my God, how has he thrown that so far? I couldn't have tapped that any lighter. Thankfully, never mind. Grealish finds Gvardiol. And if we can kind of identify where the extra man is going to be now that Manchester City are down to 10. As Mark Gay cuts it out, lays it into the path of Daniel Munoz, then we could be in business. Ismaila Sarr, stay on side. Eddie Nketiah. Ismaila Sarr can't find him. I think that's going to be a change we're going to have to make in the second half here as well. It's going to be bringing on a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or a Jean-Philippe Mateta, because there have been times in the game so far where we've really needed that aerial threat in the penalty area. And Ismaila Sarr has certainly found success making runs in behind, but Eddie Nketiah not so much. So with 55 minutes gone and a goal kick about to be taken, I think now is the time as Jean-Philippe Mateta looks on. And indeed, Oliver Glasner is going to make two changes. It is going to be William Davidson to leave the field, as well as Eddie Nketiah. But it's going to be both Luca Koleosho and Jean-Philippe Mateta on to replace them. So we are going to try and push in this game and grab an equalising goal. And part of our strategy in doing that is to drop Eberechi Eze into centre midfield. So he's kind of out of place just as a true centre midfielder. But I want to get some attacking players on the pitch. I want Eze potentially to be picking out the runs in behind of Ismaila Sarr, of Luca Koleosho. And of course, hopefully with a man advantage, we won't quite need to rely on Eberechi Eze to do too much defensive work in midfield. However, he is being called upon to do that at this moment in time. Steals the ball away from Gvardiol, though, who does steal it right back, unfortunately. Erling Haaland. Phil Foden. It's a good block from Trevor Chalobah. And Adam Wharton finally manages to poke the ball clear. And Tyrick Mitchell breaks away down the left-hand side. The run of Sarr in behind is tracked well. Here's Mateta, though. Ah, there were runs. One from Eze, a kind of slightly laboured, hesitating run from Ismaila Sarr. Just couldn't pick our pass quickly enough. Well won, I thought, by Maxence Lacroix, but potentially by the Manchester City man. And it's another really good intervention by Trevor Chalobah. I think if we do end up selling Eze and keeping Gueye, I think Bringing... What a run that is from Koleosho. The pass just a little too much on it from Daniel Munoz. I think bringing Trevor Chalobah in on a permanent deal from Chelsea and just maintaining consistency across that back five could be a really good idea heading into season 2. I think the back five really has come into its own in the last couple of months or so. There have been the odd game here or there where we have been... Get that from Adam Wharton. Beautiful defensive work. Finds Mateta. Mateta drops it in behind for Ismail Assar. He tries to find Mateta once more. Fortunate bounce. Ends up at Eze's feet. And it's a really good effort from Eze. Parried away by Edison. That's exactly what we're going to miss if we do sell Eze. I kind of talked myself into keeping Gahey. Keep the back five together. Go more direct on both flanks. And then I remember what Eze can do. And I think, surely we can find another centre-back. Can we really replace as easily what Eze brings? Mitchell finds Eze once more. Who finds Koleosho. Who, I was just about to say, tucks it away. But what a save from Edison. Eberechi Eze threading the needle. Finds Luca Koleosho, who should have levelled the scoring at the Etihad. Koleosho can't put it away. It's blocked by a Manchester City man. I think with a hand though. And I think it's going to be a free kick in a dangerous area. Oh, how much could we come to rue that chance? And now Manchester City making defensive changes. Gundogan off, Ruben Diaz on. As Eberechi Eze prepares to deliver the free kick. I mean, targets in the box are just not ideal. Goes deep towards Adam Wharton. We've got Tyrick Mitchell in the box. We've got Luca Koleosho in the box. We've got all of our centre-backs back at the halfway line. Potentially that would be different if I was on the attacking focus. And it's a shame that I believe the set-piece instructions in terms of target players, I think they only apply to corners rather than free kicks as well. So much space for Jack Grealish, who doubles Manchester City's lead. And the game is almost certainly gone. How have we conceded there? How does Jack Grealish have that much space, firstly, when we've kept our 3 centre-backs on the halfway line for that attacking free kick? And yet Trevor Chalobah, Daniel Munoz, I mean, Mark Gay stepped up and out of position, to be fair to Chalobah and Munoz. And then I thought Henderson was in position to make the save, and he just doesn't. But we are going to have to step up, not only into our attacking tactical focus, but also into our 5-2-3 press tactics as well. To really, 5-3-2 push I've called it, to really try and grab a goal sooner rather than later. Because if we are going to come away from this game with anything, probably is going to require a goal within the next 5 minutes or so. Mateta almost supplies it. Edison again with a big save. And as Eberechi Eze prepares to take the corner, it's going to be another change for Oli Glasner. Joe Bellingham on for Adam Wharton. So we'll see if the slightly more attacking option in midfield can make a difference for us. Eze delivers the corner. Chalobah grabs the goal that we so desperately needed. I said within 5 minutes. It's taken us just a couple. And it is 2-1. Trevor Chalobah potentially at fault for Manchester City's second goal. And if we do lay the blame at Chalobah's door, then he's more than made up for it with an equalising goal. Edison, disappointing effort on that particular occasion, but he has been very, very good for Manchester City today. He's made a couple of big saves, and Jean-Philippe Mateta steals the ball away. Joe Bellingham. Mateta on the left wing now. Finds Tyrick Mitchell. Just get in the box, Mateta. There's Bellingham. Can we find Izzy in a good position to get a shot away? We can't. I mean, we'll take another corner if we can get one. Or we'll find Mateta in the box. And Ederson comes to claim. I think it's probably going to be worth bringing one of our centre-backs off even for the last 10 minutes or so of the game. And go with an extra striker. Make that run, Ezzy. Make that run. Ezzy into the City box. Can he get the shot away? Yes, he can. And it's another great save from Ederson. This time, throwing out a hand at his near post. As Ezzy does manage to get the shot away under duress. But what a stop that is from Ederson. So it is going to be another striker as Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on. It's not going to be a centre-back to make way, though. It's going to be Ismaila Sarr. But two strikers up front now in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Both good targets from the corner. Cleared off the line. Chalobah finds Ezzy, whose shot is a wild one. How is that being kept out? Who is it that kept that out? Jack Grealish makes way for Bernardo Silva. I think maybe that was Kevin De Bruyne on the line who headed that clear. We really should be level. Ederson hooks clear. We're on top at this stage of the game, though. Manchester City just trying to hold on to this point. It's a good run from Mateta. Overhit the pass slightly. I think I'd left it slightly too late to play the pass as well. I think even if it made it to the feet of Mateta, I think he would have been offside. 6 seconds, ref. Haaland, as Trevor Chalobah has picked up a knock. I thought that was Ezzy again for a second. I was really surprised to see Ezzy's only played 8 Premier League games at the start of this episode. I know he's suffered with a couple of injuries this season. I didn't realise he'd played that few games in the Premier League. Calvert-Lewin is onside and brings it down on his chest. It's a great challenge. And Ederson, I believe I heard, has just been awarded man of the match. And that tells the story of this game. Haaland, can he put it to bed for Manchester City? No, he can't, because it's another fantastic challenge from Trevor Chalobah. Calvert-Lewin makes the perfect run, and it's a great pass from Tyrick Mitchell. Calvert-Lewin cuts in on his right, blocked. Tyrick Mitchell just about keeping the ball in play. Finds Bellingham. Ezzy. Saved by Ederson. What do we need to do to beat this guy? Koleosho pressing Gvardiol. Can we force it out for a corner at the very least? Oh, it's forced out for a throw. 5 minutes of added time, 2 of which are almost up. Ederson is just putting an incredible performance for Manchester City today, worthy of man of the match. And potentially, if it wasn't for his unreal performance, we could have even beaten Manchester City here today. Henderson at the other end makes a good save of his own to keep us within touching distance, and Erling Haaland is going to take the corner. Not too sure that's the best approach for Man City. Headed clear by Calvert-Lewin. As he can't quite beat Foden to it. And we need the ball back like now. And of course Trevor Chalobah obliges. Calvert-Lewin, just put your head down and run. We've got 15 seconds left. Get forward. Ezzy. Just beat that man, put the ball in the box. Not there. Anywhere but there. Anywhere but there. Manchester City hold on. We were so close. We were so close to a point. Really resilient performance. Hello. Somebody's lost their head. Jack Grealish. Unbelievable. I know Manchester City were down to 10 men, But I think that was an excellent second half performance, worthy of a point away from home. And if it wasn't for Edison, we would have got it. I mean, Manchester City still had 61% possession in the game, even with 10 men for, what, half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that. They did have more shots than us as well. Twice as many passes, almost literally. But I did go into the game with real fear that we were going to be on the end of an embarrassing defeat, to be honest. And it certainly wasn't that. We weren't embarrassed by any means. Manchester City, even with 10 men, probably inarguably the better side, but we created a lot of opportunities in that second half to grab a point. Now, I forgot to mention that Daichi Kamada was actually suspended for the Manchester City game, which is why William Davidson came in to make the start. He does return for our next game against Bournemouth, though, as does Luka Koleosho, taking Ismaila Sarr's place. And it's another point, another 1-1 draw. Luka Koleosho grabbing a late equaliser, 89 minutes into the game. Which brings us to our final game of the episode and another tough away trip as we travel to the Emirates to take on Arsenal. And for the first time since being dropped from the first team and suspended after his bust-up with Oliver Glasner, Roscoe Torres does return to the starting lineup at left-back. Like the Manchester City game, this was another fixture where we were dominated by the opposition. 69% possession, 14 shots for Arsenal. Thankfully, not too many of them were clear-cut chances. Martin Ødegaard probably came closest to scoring for Arsenal as he took the ball down on his chest and let fly from the edge of the penalty area, but it's a fantastic save from Dean Henderson. And it was probably Daichi Kamada who came closest to scoring for us, but like Henderson at the other end, the Arsenal keeper made a fantastic save, diving away to his left. So that does leave us with only one win in the month of April, but only one loss as well, and that was a very, very narrow defeat against Manchester City at the Etihad. Draws against Brighton, Bournemouth, and Arsenal has given us 6 points to take from the month. It has also given us a 2-point lead over Brentford in 13th position as we approach the final 4 games of the season. And our goal difference too is starting to balance out somewhat. We do still have a -9 goal difference, but we have conceded only 50 goals at this stage of the season, which really isn't too bad considering how many goals we were conceding towards the beginning of the year. But I think we've really become a lot more solid defensively, and that's allowed us to pick up points where earlier in the season we would have been losing those kinds of games. So hopefully we can continue that into the final episode of the season and pick up that all-important 12th position so that we can keep either Eze or Gay. Again, if you haven't already, let me know in the comments what you think. Who should we keep? Let me know in the comments as well your suggestions for fans player of the season. Who do you think has been our best overall player this year? And our young player of the season. Let's go with a player 22 years or under. And finally, of course, do let me know in the comments any suggestions for transfers you think we should be pursuing ahead of season 2, and we'll get to all of that good stuff in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.